The coffee cherry is 3 weeks from ripe when the drilling begins. A female berry borer, black and barely larger than the tip of a sesame seed, has landed on the smooth red skin and walked to the disc at its tip, the small scar where the flower once was. It is the only soft point on the fruit. She begins to cut. Her mandibles work in short strokes, throwing out a fine pale dust that collects around the entry, and by evening she is gone from sight, a dark hole where she stood. Inside, past the pulp, lies the seed, the bean itself, dense with the oils and sugars the plant spent 4 months assembling. That is what she came for. The plant has no answer for this. Caffeine, the alkaloid it loads into every seed, is a nerve poison that kills most insects that try to feed on it. And the borer breaks it down with the help of bacteria living in her own gut. She cuts a chamber in the endosperm and begins to lay. The eggs hatch into pale, legless grubs that eat outward through the bean in radiating galleries, and they never leave. Brothers mate with sisters in the dark. A single cherry can hold more than 30 of them. Where the tunnels open, water gets in, and behind the water come the rots, black and soft, spreading through pulp that should have been sugar. The cherry hangs on the branch, ruined, still attached. But the borer refuses to leave. Finally, the weather turns. A week of afternoon rain leaves the plantation saturated, and the humidity under the canopy does not drop below 90% for 6 days. On the bark, on the leaves, on the skin of every cherry, spores that have lain inert for months begin to swell. Beauveria bassiana is a fungus, common, patient, and almost invisible. It has no way to find the beetle and no way to move toward her. It does not need one. She will walk across it herself, on her way out of the fruit. A single spore catches on the joint between 2 segments of her armor, where the cuticle is thinnest. It germinates there, pushing out a fine thread, and the thread does something no mouthpart could manage. It dissolves its way in. Enzymes soften the cuticle beneath it until the fungus passes through the beetle's shell without ever breaking it. Inside, in the body cavity, it changes shape. It stops growing as a thread and begins budding as single cells, drifting through her circulation, multiplying in the fluid that carries her oxygen. She goes on working for 2 more days. She cuts, she lays, she feeds, and inside her, the fungus consumes the fat body first, then the muscle, taking her apart in the order that keeps her walking longest. Then she stops moving. Rigid, still gripping the wall of her own tunnel, she is no longer a beetle but a case full of fungus. What comes next is the part that spreads it. Threads push back out through the joints, through the eyes, through the mouth, and the whole body furs over in dense white growth until the shape beneath is barely recognizable. The drilling stops. Along the branch, cherries that were never opened continue their slow change. Green to yellow to a deep red that darkens toward the stem. Their skin stays whole. The pulp thickens with sugar, and the beans inside harden. Filling out the flat, oval shape that took the whole season to build. Rain washes the pale, boring dust from the disc scars of the fruit that survived. On the ruined cherries, the white bodies stay where they died, powdery and dry, waiting for the next humid week. The branch carries both harvests at once. For the coffee tree, every intact bean is a seed that could still become another tree, which is the only reason it ever made them sweet. For the fungus, the beetle was a warm, sealed chamber with a food supply and a door. For the plantation, one mummified female is 100 million spores waiting on the bark for the next generation to walk past. Nothing here hunted anything. The fungus never moved, never chose, and never struck. It simply waited on a surface the beetle had to cross. In nature's quiet battles, patience is a weapon like any other.